Hello. So match day 3. Thought I'd make another video. I'm on Wildcard, so thought I'd talk you through it. Try and figure my thoughts out. I haven't fully settled yet. It's quite a lot to think about. Minutes is the biggest problem. Who's going to start? Motivations. Who's going to play? Rotation. All that business. So I'll talk through some of that and where I'm up to at the moment. So far this game week, not doing great. I've still got quite a lot of players to play yet, but the hits didn't really work out. Probably shouldn't have done them. I'm not convinced that the principle of taking a hit was necessarily wrong, because I got kind of unlucky with Rafinha, quite unlucky with the injury. Valencia, possibly could say I was unlucky. Elise, Sabitzer to Elise, I think it was one of them, or Sane to Elise. That's worked out all right. Montez to O'Reilly should work out right, but Haaland to Kane was probably the one I shouldn't have done. That was maybe a bit gratuitous. I didn't really need to do that, but we'll wait and see. If Kane gets a hat-trick, then I might not feel so bad. And not having the best luck. I mean, Oyarzabal was great. That helped me. Mbappe 12th man's doing well. Not doing too great though. But anyway, I almost feel like I prefer all the planning side of the game rather than the actual getting points side of the game. I just like doing the planning side. So anyway, so what we doing? Wildcard. This is where I'm at. How do you figure out what to do? I mean, I've got like a model, and originally I kind of just looked at like who are the best picks. Match day 3. So this is based on, a lot of this is based on FPL Joe's projections here, so check out his website and that. Give him a follow. I've got a kind of model, and then it's based on all this data and all this kind of business. And you've got players like Dumfries top. Netherlands projections have just been revised upwards. Pretty sure he'll play. Well, we'll have to talk about that in a minute. Hakimi, Van Dijk, Kane, will he play though? Gakpo's up there. A lot of Netherlands players up there. Mbappe, will he play? I doubt it. I don't think Kane or Mbappe are going to play. Aguerd, a Morocco defender, they're up there. And this is just basically the list. But I mean, so one way I started thinking about it though, because I wanted to get into the vibe of like, what do teams need? Think about it logistically. So one thing that I was trying to think of is like, so with captains, you can only pick one captain per group, because all the groups are playing at the same time. You got all the groups all playing in blocks like that. So you can only get 12 captains. Now I've already kind of decided I don't want to get anybody from Group D or K, because you got America versus Turkey. America have already topped the group. Turkey are already gone. Turkey might want to salvage some pride. I just don't really fancy. There could be rotation for both teams. I'm just going to avoid that. And then Australia, Paraguay is a very even game. There's no clear, obvious team who's going to win that one, I don't think. So I don't think I want to force it. So I'm just going to skip a captain for that group. And Group K, you've got Colombia versus Portugal. That's a pretty tough game. We don't know what the situation with the group will be yet, so that could change. And then Uzbekistan versus Congo. Again, there's no clear obvious winner there. I think I'm just going to avoid that group. So that leaves 10 other captain shouts, and I kind of wanted to think, well, can I get somebody from each group? So I've got a good captain in each group, and particularly a forward or a midfielder, because at the moment it seems like most of the big hauls are coming from forwards and midfields. I suppose theoretically defenders could still do well. And so, I mean, Group A, I didn't originally have anybody, but I started trying to force it and think, well, is there somebody? And Korea versus South Africa isn't bad. They're appearing quite high on some of the models for players. I don't know whether I'll be one here, but I mean, so Son is high, and there's Son. There's a chap called Lee Kang-in, which I hadn't heard about until before this tournament. Maybe perhaps I should have done. He plays for Paris Saint-Germain sometimes, off the bench, and so Son and Lee Kang-in seem like kind of somewhat talismanic for their teams, particularly Son. He's on penalties and that. So I could go for one of those two, or just stick a goalkeeper in. I think I have the goalkeeper in at the moment. That's not terrible. And in fact, I may just go for a goalkeeper. I don't know whether I want to force it. There's a question of like, how much is an extra captaincy shout worth? Is it just worth, forcing it in there? I don't know whether I want to necessarily force it. If you're 50-50 between two players, then obviously go for the one that gives you an extra captain shout. But I was thinking if there's somebody predicted more than a point above another, then probably not worth it. They have to be relatively close, I think. So I may not go for Son, but he's the first one. Second group as well, there's not a huge amount here. It's Bosnia versus Qatar is the one. We're going to get lineups for this group because this is the first group that plays here. Group B are the ones who start 8 p.m. tomorrow night is the deadline. Lock it in before then just in case, but it should be 8 p.m. and we should get lineups. So that's, given that this game week is tricky to figure out the minutes of all the players, that could be an advantage. But who do you get from Bosnia? Well, firstly, Bosnia, I was looking back through all the team strength stuff with like FIFA and the FIFA rankings and stuff, and a lot of these FIFA scores, they've got Bosnia worse than Qatar in the FIFA rankings. The Opta Power rankings, Bosnia are also worse than Qatar, I think. No, about the same. They're both crap. The Pele rankings, I think, have Bosnia higher than Qatar, way higher. Well, Qatar are the worst. I think the Pele rankings, I don't know, I think they're more form heavy, so that might be more recent. I'm not sure, I'll have to look into that. And these ones, this ELO ratings have Bosnia higher than Qatar. So, and the bookies odds, FPL Joe has got like Bosnia quite high. 2.24 is actually very high. So I just don't know how good Bosnia really are. I thought of them as not very good attacking, maybe good defensively, but that projected goals is actually quite high for Bosnia. So I mean, it's Dzeko or Demirovic, I think, are the two strikers who, and because we'll get lineups, we can find out who. Dzeko's the one who seems to get the most amount of goals. I should probably show you this. So, I mean, one way I was looking at the players, because minutes are really important, I was ranking by minutes, total minutes that they've played for their clubs, then minutes per squads made, starts per squads made. So if you make 13 squads and you play 13 times, Van Dijk is like basically the most nailed player in the entire game. If you want somebody super nailed, it's Van Dijk. He just plays every minute of every game, almost always. And then let's have a look at the teams. So Bosnia we're going to. It's like an easier way to look at it. I've gone past them. So Bosnia, and then where is Dzeko? Dzeko's there, so he doesn't actually seem super nailed, and he's not because he missed the first game. But at least we'll get the lineups. But he scored 6 goals, 0.76. So him, this chap, I don't even know who that one is. He's a forward. I don't think he plays that much, so I'd ignore him. And then Demirovic is the other guy who seems like he seems more nailed. He seems to be like, looking back through their lineups, he seems to be the one who is their preferred forward. Only 1 goal though in qualifying is not very good. But he's doing quite well for Stuttgart though. 12 goals and 3 assists, so that's 0.9 goals and assists per 90 for Stuttgart. That's very good. So it's one of those two. If Dzeko's in the lineup, I guess I could go for him. He's 40 years old now. He's not 39. Apparently he's 40 now. But again, it's kind of forcing the issue a bit. Do I really want to go? Again, I'm also might just go for their keeper as well. So that might be just the easiest way to get captains for these two, Korea and Bosnia. I might just go for their captain. They're not very good captains, but that could be one way in. Or I go for Son and Dzeko, something like that. So that's where I'm at with those two. The next group, C, I've got loads of picks. So Saibari's the one who I'm kind of stands out. He's he's playing as their number 9. He's out of position, so he's listed as a midfielder. He seems to be, when you go back through their lineups for the last 6-8 games, he seems to be the number 9 that's nailed now. They can't rotate. I mean, neither can Bosnia or Korea really. They still need returns. They're probably going to play theirs because they got a risk that they could go out. Both of these teams, particularly Bosnia. Bosnia need to win, and goal difference might matter as well, because if they want a chance of taking over Switzerland into second, if they presume that Switzerland lose, if they win that, they might have to overturn that 3 goal difference, and so goals might matter for them as well. But anyway, Morocco and Brazil. Haiti are bottom; they're eliminated. And Morocco and Brazil are through because they've got 4 points. They're going to be finished in third place at least. But they have to play Germany if they finish third, so they'll probably want to avoid that. I don't think they'll be rotating that much. They've also got this over here is the amount of rest days before match day 2, before match day 3, before the round of 32, right up to the final. And some of the groups at the top, there's like more green at the top here. As you go down the bottom, there's more red. So like England's group, they've got 4 days before round of match day 3, and then 4 before the round of 32. Much more likely to see rotation. Same with these, like France's group. So Mbappe and Kane, I think, are going to be rotated. But up here, Brazil is like a 6 and a 5 and a 5, and then a 6 and a 6 if they win. All 5s for the second and third places their routes to the finals. Quite comfortable. Not so. I think we players like Vinny would probably play if Rafinha's out. Saibari, I think they'll play. I think they'll all be playing. I've got Morocco's might want to get goal difference if they want to top the group. They just need a match because they drew against Brazil, didn't they? Yeah. So they just need to. Did they draw against Brazil? Yeah, they did. So if they can overturn that goal difference, they could top the group as well. What these two are playing for, Brazil and Morocco, they're linked with. This is who they're playing for in round of 32, likely opponents, or if it's got a percentage next to it, that's the chance that they'll play that opponent. If it's got no percentage against it, then it's just locked. That's just definite. So it's F2, F3 for Brazil and Morocco. So Netherlands and Japan. So it's Netherlands and Brazil are probably the best out of those two, you would think. So they're going to be wanting to top the group so they can avoid the other. I don't know. So it's Saibari, I think, feels quite nailed. Vinny, maybe. But again, you only need one. Once I've got that one captain, do I need to have loads of other players? I'm going to have some double ups because there's 10 groups. I'm not picking anyone from D and K. 10 groups. I've got 15 players. There's going to be at least 5 double ups somewhere. So it could be in this group. Hakimi as well. Although the Hakimi thing, he got booed, didn't he? There's some sort of legal situation going on with him. I don't know the full details, but he sounds like he might be in trouble. He might not, innocent before proven guilty and all that, but he could be in trouble. It's going to affect your psychology as a player. I would have thought if you know that if you score, the crowd are going to boo you and not really like you. It might affect your psychology a little bit. But he is good though, Hakimi. So that's one to figure out. But I might drop him. And then Vinny, yeah. So yeah, at the moment, Saibari though is the number one for their Group E. Is Diamande, I really like. Ivory Coast are playing Curacao. Curacao are a bit crap, hanging in there, but I think Ivory Coast will get lots of goals. FPL Joe's odds have them like really high, second highest for goals. Diamande, so yeah, and what are the options from Ivory Coast? There's a chap called Kessie. He seems to be the most nailed. Kessie, he's like their captain. He's been playing for him for donkey's years. He's fine. 0.41 goals and assists per 90 in qualifying. He kind of ticks along. He's like a midfielder. 5 goals, 3 assists for Al Ali. But he's not massive. He's not going to get you a monster haul. Probably not. I think he's on pens. Diamande though, he doesn't have huge amounts of data because 4 out of 4 starts, but not that many. He's quite young, quite new. 19 is he? That's a good rate of scoring though. And then for Leipzig, he's had 12 goals and 8 assists, 0.73 goals and assists. He looks like a real talent. really electric. I presume he will play. Young people usually are more resilient to, don't need rotation so much. He's the one that stands out. And then that's it. There's nobody else that's really amazing. I mean, Nicolas Pepe, and who's this? Adingra, but I don't know if he's definitely starting. We're not going to get the lineups. Ahmad, I don't know if any of these guys are starting. It seemed to me like it was Kessie when I looked into it, because I want nailed players. Kessie's super nailed. I'm pretty sure Diamande's the one. They're going to need him to play, I should think. And then in terms of defenders, Conan was the one who looked like he was super nailed. It actually only says 66% there, but the impression I got looking back through the lineups was that he seemed really nailed. I felt confident going for him. He's had 1 assist. I'm not expecting many attacking returns from him. He's had, I haven't got his data for his club data. Conan, yeah, he's like the defender that I picked out that I thought, yeah, he's the one. I was looking at Agbadou, thinking that maybe Agbadou's the one, but I thought he might be the one, but looking back through lineups, I think something put me off him. He's not necessarily nailed, whereas Conan just seemed to play all of the most important games all the time. So that's what I'm thinking with there. So Diamande's the one, but I could go for Kessie or Conan. I think there's going to be too many good midfield picks to get Kessie in there. So it's maybe Conan though, because they've got clean sheet odds of second best as well. But Diamande for captain. Next group F, Dumfries and Gakpo. So yeah, no brainer I think. Dumfries and Gakpo. I mean, did I just talk about what Ivory Coast need, because they're 3 points? Oh yeah, because the other thing about Ivory Coast I noticed was that they only need a point. They don't need to win, so that could maybe bring their expected goals down a little. I don't know if there's no motive for them to win by monster scores. Because if they get a point against Curacao, then Curacao can't catch them. And if Ecuador happen to beat Germany, Ivory Coast beat Ecuador. So it won't matter. So if they both end up on 4 points, Ivory Coast will be in front of Ecuador, and they'll be in front of Curacao. So they only need a point. They can't top the group. Germany have already done that as well. So the only thing that Ivory Coast could do is lose and risk. They could risk. There is a chance they could get third, but if they do that, they could risk ending up getting fourth. So they only need a point, really. That's their mission. Get a point. Win would be even better. So they don't necessarily need to notch up massive cricket scores. But then that being said, it's still Curacao. Bookies are still predicting quite a lot of goals, and I still think they probably will just score a few. So yeah, I'm still going to go Diamande. But Conan might be an even better option because of that. They can't lose. Just got to make sure they don't lose. And they'll be playing I2. That's group of death over here. So it'll be Norway or France, whoever loses out of that game. So not great, but because that's what I was thinking. Maybe they'd want to finish third, play Mexico, but that's not really much better either. So it might be Mexico. Yeah. Anyway, so Group F, Netherlands, Japan on 4 points each. Sweden on 3. Sweden play Japan. Netherlands play Tunisia. Tunisia are out. Netherlands are going to play, if they top the group, it's going to be either Brazil or Morocco if they top first or second, and if they come third, they're going to be playing probably 84% chance-ish of top of group of death. So France or Norway, whoever wins that. So they don't have great options there. Their best chance is probably to top the group and then play the loser out of Brazil or Morocco. Netherlands. So they're probably going to try and win that, I would have thought. And sometimes with motivations, we often think as fans like, oh, does this team really want to win this, or would they prefer to lose it and stuff like that? I remember back in Premier League with like Tottenham fans kind of hoping they lose so that Arsenal don't win the league and things like this. And usually the players and the managers, they're always much more professional than we think. They come out and they just play to win. And I sometimes think that we read too much into the idea that they won't want to actually win it. They might. It's definitely happened before in the past, because the reason why they have them all playing at the same time was because two teams both needed a point and they threw a game. I think that's the story I've heard. And they both deliberately drew so that they both qualified and somebody else didn't. And so now they play them all at the same time now. So I'm sure it happens to a degree, but I think it's overstated. I think teams will go and just try and win the game because that's just what they do. That's what they're built to do. So I think Netherlands will try and win that, and it's playing Tunisia, and Tunisia are a bit pants. So Dumfries, and then it's just a matter of like, do you want Gakpo as well in there, which I'll come on into in a minute because there's a lot of forward choices. I'll just go now. I don't have him in there at the moment, but that's because I've got Son. But see, this is the question: like, is it worth getting an extra captaincy shout in Son to bump Gakpo, or would I just do better to put Gakpo in there? Might be that I'm better off just going for Gakpo. Forwards, they are midfielders. These are forwards. Gakpo's at the top here. I've got him. Again, dodgy model, but he's very high at the top there. Whereas Son is about 2 points below him. So that's probably too much of a stretch. I should probably just go for Gakpo and just captain the Korean keeper instead. That might be the best thing to do. I could still get Kang in because he's actually quite high. These are just the picks. They're my shortlist, not all the midfielders. So anyway, going back to this then. So F, Dumfries, and maybe Gakpo. Could put Van Dijk in there as well because he's just super nailed. He's got 6 goals for Liverpool. I think he's got a lot of goals for Holland as well. Netherlands, I think I've got him on the list here. Van Dijk, 3 goals in qualifying. And he's had another one, didn't he, I think now. So he does like a goal. Anyway, Group G, Salah. If I want a captain shout from that, Salah I like. There's the Belgium game though as well. Belgium versus New Zealand. And I just got this like feeling of like gloom about Belgium. They always seem to underperform. I don't know whether there's this sense of like there's always this kind of like moodiness in their camp. I don't know. But theoretically, bookies have them quite high for a lot of goals there. New Zealand are quite bad. Like most of these rankings have them pretty low. I think New Zealand bottom fair for FIFA rankings, like literally the dead last. Down the bottom there. Like last 6 or 7 down the bottom there. So New Zealand are bad, and Belgium are supposedly pretty good. But who to go for from Belgium? KDB seems very nailed. If they might not top the group. If they come second, this is their rest rotation, so it's not too bad if they can come first or second. If they come third, though, they might be a bit tighter. But the thing I noticed about KDB is that all of his goals came before his injury. So where is KDB's there? He's got like 6 goals, 1 assist in qualifying. Sounds really good. 100% start rate, 11 out of 11 matches starts per squads made. Looks really good. But he got injured last year, and almost all of those goals came before he got injured. Since he's come back from injury, he's only had 1 goal in like the last 8 international games, something like that. I can't remember what it was. But he's only had 1 goal. He's looked a bit off it. His minutes don't look quite as good. Started having a look at some of these players' minutes. So this is KDB here at the top one. Going back to the start of the season, he was playing reasonable minutes. Sometimes playing 3 in a week. I mean, this was the most intense. He had a 90-80, 90-83 in like quite a short space of time, and then he got injured. Funnily enough, straight after he had that little intense spell. Then he was out for ages and ages and ages. And then he comes back, and he's not playing quite as many minutes. It's a bit more spread out. He got subbed off. That was a tactical sub because he wasn't playing very well. Had a little eye injury there. Very spread out. And then all of a sudden it's World Cup. 85, 86. And then that'll be match day 3. And then if they come first, second or third, it's kind of these kind of groups. So, I mean, he's surely got to play though, because they need him. So I don't think the question of whether he's going to play, that's probably not. He's surely got to play. Yeah, I think he'll play. but it's more the question of, is he any good? I think that's the thing I'm thinking with Belgium. Is he any good? Are any of their players any good? I kind of half like Trossard, but again, he's not like a... At the moment, I'm just trying to think of who's the best captaincy. And then after that, the other 5 or 6 picks, I can just pick just the best players. Doesn't matter after captaincy. I just pick the best players. And so it's like, well, is Salah better than any of these Belgium guys? I feel like he is. So my model has him higher than everybody else because he's kind of like very talismanic for Egypt. He takes the pens and free kicks and everything. 9 goals and 3 assists in qualifying. He had another couple of goals the other day. Yeah, he's super nailed. It's going to be a funny game. That's the Pride game in Seattle, Egypt versus Iran. They're going to make it a Pride Day, and they're going to make it a massive Pride event at that stadium, which seems deliberately designed to provoke Middle Eastern teams that haven't fully accepted Pride stuff. So that could be funny. Salah, I think Salah could be good. Who knows what's going to happen in that game? It feels like it's quite even. What's the best? So let's have a look at the bookies. FPL Joe's Egypt. I mean, they're not very high up there. So they're quite low down, 1.14. So maybe that's an argument. I mean, according to this, I should be going for a Belgian player, really. But then those model scores I just showed you was based on these numbers. So it's because he's such a talisman that even if he only gets one goal, he's probably going to be him. Iran lower down though, so they're predicting that Egypt will be the victor there over Iran. My team strength thing that I was doing, let's see where Egypt is. Egypt there, Iran, man, that's slow to follow. Oh, actually Iran are higher. So yeah, Iran team strength is actually higher than Egypt then. See that? Yeah, I think I was thinking that as well, because I was thinking maybe it's Taremi or somebody like that you should go for. Yeah, in terms the team strength is just a combination of those 4 metrics: the FIFA rank, Opta rank, Pele, and ELO. So overall, they got Iran as a stronger team theoretically. So that's a bit of an even one. So maybe it's not Salah. I kind of like the idea of going for Salah though, because he's so talismanic, and I just think that game could be funny. Could be a bit of a wild card game, but it could be Taremi. Could be maybe I just go for a Belgian player, Trossard or KDB. KDB's just had 1 goal in like the last 8 or so games, and it's like doesn't look that great. Lukaku, don't know. So it's very tricky. I've still got to figure some of this stuff out. Next group, H. Yamal was just the first name. I thought surely he's going to play. Got taken off for 45 minutes. I think that suggests he's probably going to start the next one. We're getting lower down into these groups, but actually Spain's rotation isn't too bad here. It'd be a 6-5 and a 6 if they win, or a 6-5 and a 7 if they come second. So rotation, rest days is actually quite generous. Gets tougher after that, but you can worry about that later, I think. So yeah, no, I've put they're probably going to want to top the group, but they may still rotate. Looking back through some of these old World Cups and other competitions, even if a team needed to win their third game, they still sometimes rotated, I think. I can't remember a good example of that, but I'm sure it happened a few times. It was just rotation everywhere. I mean, this one here, this is Club World Cup. Chelsea won the first, they lost the second, but still rotated in the third quite heavily. It's not always a given that they won't rotate. But Yamal seems like he's going to play. There's also a Yazabal as well. Now he was. Both of them have got carrying knocks, or you've had some sort of injury concern. So there's slight risks, the pair of them. But I don't know who else to go for from Spain. They've gone 4 points. So nobody's been eliminated. Nobody's won yet. They're playing Uruguay. They'll definitely be through, but if they lose to Uruguay, they could end up third. Probably not though. probably first or second, because Saudi Arabia will probably beat Cape Verde. Maybe, maybe not. So probably first or second, and that means J1 and J2, which is Argentina's group. So yeah, so they'll be motivated to want to avoid Argentina, because Argentina have won. They've topped their group. So Spain know that now. So Spain know that if they come second, they're playing Argentina. So that, yeah, that's quite a big game, isn't it? It's about who wants to avoid Argentina. And then it's going to be out of Austria. Jordan have lost, eliminated as well, so it's going to be out of Austria and Algeria for the second and third spots. Yeah, so you want to top that group. So Spain are going to play. I think Yamal's playing, but I think Oyarzabal might play as well. And if he's going to play, he's quite good. So he's another one that might be better than Son. What did my model say about Oyarzabal? He's up there. I mean, he's up better than Son, only by a little bit though. It says Gakpo, Messi, and then Dzeko. He reckons I should go for him because he had 6 goals in qualifying. But maybe it's Gakpo, Messi, and Oyarzabal. So that's Group H though. I think Yamal feels likely though. And then yeah, maybe Oyarzabal. Probably not a defender though, because it's Uruguay and it could be a tough game. I probably won't double up either, so it's just one or the other. And if it's one or the other, I think I want to get Yamal in, but it might be a budget thing as well. Group I is, I'm not going to go for anybody from France or Norway. They've got very tight turnaround here. I don't think Mbappe is going to start. In the World Cup, last 22 World Cup, France won their first 2 games and then massively rotated in their second. And Mbappe is one of those who got rotated out. So I'm just kind of basing it on that. That happens quite a lot. Same with like England a couple of years ago. Where was it? In the World Cup 2018, I think it was, England and Belgium won their first 2 and then they just both massively rotated in the third. I'm imagining that's going to happen again. You've got tight turnarounds for France, 4 days, 4 days, 4 days. Haaland might play, but I think he'll probably rotate as well. They'll rest him. Don't know about that. So I think I've come to the conclusion that Messi will play, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But I think Mbappe and Haaland will probably get rotated. It's just too risky to put them in. So and they're playing each other. It's going to be a tough game. So yeah, I won't be going for them. So it's Senegal basically. Senegal versus Iraq. They desperately need to win. Senegal. They're going to have to win it, and they're going to have to win by goal difference, aren't they? I just noticed that because they're on -3. They're going to need to win if they want to stand a chance. So that's great. That's what you want. A team that's desperate to win. If they lose, they're out. If they draw, they're out. Have to win by goal difference. And Senegal, they're up here, which is good. Up here, which is good. And in terms of the team strength, I've got Senegal as quite high as well. They're 61% their team strength, and Iraq are 25%. So yeah, great, Senegal. So Senegal definitely, probably have a double up on them actually. But then it's like, who do you get? Now Mane is the talisman. I think he's on pens. Let me just find the thing. One sec. Somebody made this. I'm not sure who it is. Somebody in the community. These are all the penalty takers, free kick takers, and corner takers. And what we're looking at, Senegal here. Yeah, Mane. Mane's on pens and free kicks. So, and while I'm on this screen, it's quite handy to just know who else. Like, so Yamal or Oyarzabal can take pens. So who knows? But Yamal's on free kicks and corners. Other players I was looking at. Let's just go through anybody interesting. Gakpo on pens. Depay hasn't really been playing, so that's another reason to go for Gakpo. Son, that's why I liked Son. He's on the pens and free kicks rather than Lee Kangin. Ueda, probably not. Taremi, Iran. Mbappe, but I think he might not play. Kane, I think he might not play. Salah is a penalty taker. Ivory Coast is Kessie, so that could be a reason to go for him, but I don't think I want to squeeze him in my midfield. And then anybody else interesting? Dzeko or Demirovic, so we'll see which one starts. Will probably be on pens. And Messi's obviously on pens. Lukaku, De Bruyne. So they're penalty takers. What was I talking about? Senegal. So yeah, Senegal. Mane's on pens. Where's that gone? Hang on. This one. So players. Senegal. Let's have a look. Senegal. Mane is the most nailed. Probably one of their best goal scorers as well. But then there is Sarr. Ismaila Sarr. And he seems to be doing quite well. He seems quite eager. He's probably as good as Mane in terms of getting the goals, or at least based on qualifying. He doesn't look like he's as nailed. I presume he is. Yeah, I've only looked through some of the teams. I haven't necessarily looked through Senegal yet, I don't think, to see why he sometimes misses out. Is there somebody else? Because I noticed Ndai wasn't playing much. Presumably Sarr's preferred. You've got other players. You've got Nicholas Jackson. You've got somebody else. Oh no, I'm thinking of Ivory Coast, Amad Diallo, isn't I? But I presume Sarr is nailed and starting. And he's good, but he's a forward as well. And there's only so many forward slots. So at the moment, I'm leaning Mane. For their clubs, Mane's doing great for Al Nassr. 0.67 goals and assist. Sarr not quite so well, but he plays for Palace. But so I think I'm leaning Mane because he's on pens as well. He feels like the one. He's like the captain. He's nailed. So he's the man, I think. But you could go for Sarr. And then defenders as well. Is there any other options? Maybe Sarr, but again, yeah, so I've got too many forward options to go for, I think. I've heard some people going for Diouf. I don't know much about Diouf. I think he was just that West Ham fullback that people were saying was good. Yeah, 5 assists, not bad. And he's had 1 for Senegal, so he could be good. I think I was looking at Koulibaly. My model has him a bit higher, but then it's just based on how they've done in qualifying, and Koulibaly had a goal and an assist, so that's probably why he's bumped up. He's probably a little more nailed, Koulibaly, I think. A lot of these I'd have to double check, and he just seems like he's the one. Al Hilal plays for a goal, 2 assists, pretty nailed for them as well. So that's probably what will be for Senegal. Mane and then one of Koulibaly or Diouf. Might depend on scouting bonus. I'm going to waffle. This video is not going to have any order to it, but like on topic of the scouting bonus thing, there was a cock up in the matchday 2 deadline. The scouting bonus, there was a bit of a bug in the game, and I don't know if anybody if it worked out. I was going to ask if Rob T had figured it out. Maybe I'll ask him later. So basically, these are some of the players. Rob T noticed this. So this is the matchday 2 deadline. This was coming in 5:53, 5:58. Then that's 4:03, 4:08. The other side of the deadline. These are players' ownerships, but then this was the recorded ownership for that round. So players like Vargas, I've got Vargas. He was under the 5% owned before the deadline, under 5% owned after the deadline, and yet he got recorded as 6.3%. So he doesn't get scouting bonus. And Elvedi was one. Elvedi was under 3.7 there, 3.7 there. He got 5.3, and at one point they had a clean sheet, and he got the clean sheet points added, but they didn't add the scouting bonus. So he won't be getting scouting bonus, and I don't know what that's about. It could be like wildcards or something not getting counted, but that's a bit weird because like in game week 1, match day 1, we had like that was like a wildcard unlimited, and they all kind of counted. It doesn't really make sense. I mean, you could trust that and just assume that number is right and this one's wrong, but then if these ones are wrong, you can't trust it. So when we're trying to make our picks based on who's eligible for scouting bonus, you can't trust that number. So what I'm kind of thinking is I'm going to only trust the scouting bonus thing if it's under like 3%. If there's any player under 3%, I'll be like, okay, they'll probably get scouting bonus. But above 3%, now it's too much. So that's the new game I'm playing now. If there's a player who's like 4.9%, you can't risk it. Or you could do the other thing, and if there's a player who's like 6%, maybe they'll still get it. You might get lucky. Like there's some of these, like João Neves was 5.5 and he actually got dipped under and got the scouting bonus. Same with this one, Pacho, 5.8, and he actually dipped under. So he got scouting bonus even though he wasn't under 5%, apparently. Anyway, so that's scouting bonus. Yeah, it's all fun and games with FIFA, innit? I would just, look for under 3% owns, I think, is what I'm going to do. So Koulibaly and Diouf, I'll keep an eye on that. I'll probably go for the lowest owned player. So that's Senegal. Yeah, I might get 2 from them. Senegal, next group. So then there's Messi. Right, so the big question with Messi is he going to play? There's a presumption that he won't. They've won the group now. They can't come second or third. They've won the group. This is their rest days. 6 before game week 2, and then there's 5 before match day 3, and then another 6 before the round of 32. So they've got quite a generous schedule. But the really interesting thing about Messi that I realised is that he is a total minutes monster. I didn't realise this. So Messi is this one here. Is Messi. If you go back through his season, it's quite insane. Like, oops, hang on, what have I done? There is that the start? Yeah. So it's quite insane. He just plays like loads and loads of 90s. 90, 90, 90. Look at all these 90s there. Look at that. 90, 90, 90, 90, 90, 90, 90. Just like, that's like, you don't even get centre-backs playing that much. 90, 90, 90. I mean, is it easier in the American leagues, maybe? It doesn't have to play so hard. He does play in a certain style where he kind of walks around a lot and lets the other players do all the work. But he plays loads of 90s all the time. Now, he looks like he got injured or something happened to him there. He's disappeared for a big chunk. Then he's back again and straight back in it. 90s all the time as soon as he's back. I don't know, was he injured or was there something? I don't know. 45 there. 90, 90, 90, 90s. Just loads of 90s all the way. Lots of them, lots of very, very close 90s. 72 last day of the season. Then he's had like a bit of a break here. He's got a 21 there. That must have been a friendly, so not sure what happened there. Maybe that was maybe he's given a rest. Maybe he's just allowed a holiday. Comes back, gets a 79, then a 90. And then this is his spacing, which is quite generous. It's not really 3 in a week. It's closer to once a week. And I think he'll play. I think he's the kind of guy that if he wants to play, people will just obey him because he's the GOAT. He can do what he wants. If he wants to play, they'll just be like, sure, if that's what you want. And also there's a sense of like FIFA will want him to play. The fans pay their money to see him play, and he'll probably want to play for them as well. Yeah, I'm just convincing myself that I think he will play, I think. Now, would it surprise anyone if he was rotated? Probably not, because that is what normally happens on your third game. So it is a bit of a risk. But I think I've started to think he's going to play. And like, imagine if Messi starts against Jordan. How sick you're going to feel if you don't own him. Like, that could be a monster. So I think I'm going to go for it at the moment. That's what I'm thinking at the moment. So Messi, I only need like one captain from that group. There could be others from Argentina. These groups down the end, I kind of ran out of time. I haven't really looked into their rotation and stuff. But like Otamendi, Enzo Fernandez, is Alvarez going to play? I need to look at some other players, but there could be a defender. Otamendi seems to be like quite nailed and plays all the games. Could have a quick look here to see what the model says. Argentina. You got the keeper, but he's going to be too expensive. So Otamendi was like the most nailed, and he got 4 goals. He does like a goal. He's quite old. I don't have his club data. He's 38 as well. So, but Enzo Fernandez pretty nailed. Not the greatest upside. Romero, I think, is he injured? I think I heard he might be missing out. Alvarez plays quite a lot. 0.5 is not amazing. Now, why is Messi down here? He's actually only on 70%, so that's maybe something to look at. I presume there's some friendlies he missed out on. Yeah, actually, maybe I'll double check that to see which games he missed out on here, because some of these he was a sub, so maybe he does get rotated sometimes. That might change my mind. But he's the one who gets the most goals. He's the most talismanic. Maybe Alvarez, maybe Otamendi. And back to the groups. So nobody from K. And then England, we need to know what's going on. And I need to look at their rotation, likely rotation. because they've got a very tough turnaround here, 4-4-4s. Yeah, that's pretty tough. Yeah, we need to see if they need to win or not. I think Kane will get rested though. I think I had Kane in here as well. Looked at the minutes of Kane, and Kane's at the bottom here, and he doesn't seem to play that much. He's got a 45, 62 there, 90. These are all quite spread out once a week, and whenever he's got a few games in a week, he's got a 45 and a 45 and a 45. Like, maybe he does get rested more. So yeah, that was the impression I had with Kane. But I feel like I want to get somebody from England, so I can got a captain on that last one against Panama. Panama not as bad as you would think. The ratings usually have them relatively high. I think I mentioned one of my other videos. They're better than Ghana, but they're still quite bad though. Yeah, quite low down there. So yeah, well, very high there, 2.58. So England feels like that would be nice to have another captain shout there. But I need to figure out whether to force it, and whether, especially, I need to know who's going to play, whether it's Saka or Rashford or something like that. So yeah, I haven't figured that one out yet. I'm going to have to have a look into that. So with all that said, that's I've ended up, so I've got Messi, maybe Son, but that could be Gakpo. In fact, I think I convinced myself that it probably should be Gakpo in the course of this video. Probably not worth going for Son, but I don't know. I'll vibe it towards the deadline. Yamal. So I could do Iyazabal and then Lee Kang in there instead. I think I really like the idea of going for Yamal. Feel like he's less likely to miss that game, whereas Iyazabal might. Mane feels nailed. Sabari feels nailed. Salah could be a Belgium player instead. I am quite tight for budget as well. In fact, I'm tight for budget now that I've put Gakpo in there. That's just gone over. So, and then the other thing is, once I figured out my attack, it's like the defenders. So at the moment, I've got this Korea and Bosnian keeper in because they're just super cheap. Super cheap. Let's see if I can do it like this. Clean sheets. So Netherlands, Dumfries. That's got to be a lock. So Ivory Coast, Conan seems to be the one. Doesn't have much upside, but I think there's not that many defenders other than like Hakimi and Dumfries. I suppose Belgium, there's De Kuiper, isn't there? But when I looked into it, I wasn't convinced he's definitely starting. Their rotation seemed a bit... I don't remember feeling super convinced that he would start. Maybe others are. Maybe I'd have to look into that. But De Kuiper could be good because he's got some good upside. But I've got McKaylee in there at the moment because Ngoy, I think his name is, he was the other centre back and he got a red card and suspended. So, and McKaylee's the one who's starting the first two and he seems the most nailed. So I think he will play again. Defenders down here, McKaylee, not predicted many points. He's had a goal. He wasn't nailed in qualifying, but I'm pretty sure he is now. They don't even have that many defenders, I don't think. So McKaylee is, I think he's nailed. Not 100% sure about that, but like I'm pretty sure, and he's cheap, and he's very low owned. So it's that kind of logic, I think. Then Koulibaly, but you could go for Diouf. That's Senegal. They're fairly high up here against Iraq. Yeah, that's a good game, that one. I think I'd like to have two players from that game. Yeah, so Hakimi, so he kind of picks itself, doesn't it, a little bit. So who am I missing? Hakimi's great, but he's got that controversy around him that might affect his performance. I could put an Argentinian or an English player in there. I don't know. They're the moving parts. I think some of these other keepers, like Bono, is going to be too highly owned. Courtois will be too highly owned. Martinez will be too highly owned. Pickford. Senegal keeper might be alright. I think I only had a short list of about 3 keepers. I had the Croatian keeper as well. Oh, because that's the other thing about Group L, is that I could go for a Croatian because they're going to need to play and they're not going to rotate. I could pick a player better, and they're playing Ghana, who are supposedly the worst group. So I could do that. And I may do that. So let's have a look. Anyway, so I'll just talk a little bit more about schedules and rotations and motivations and stuff. These are the groups then. I think I've gone for that. And this is the rest days. So teams at the top like Mexico have the best rest days. So this is the total average rest days from start to finish. And, basically the teams at the bottom just have the least. England have like 4.5 days on average between each game, whereas Mexico have like 5.5. So that's just the perk of being in the top groups, the first groups, I guess. Yeah, so that's the rotation. The schedule, there's a few things to say about the schedule. Scotland, so a couple of teams I've picked out as being like difficult for the heat. So like Scotland versus Brazil, that's scheduled to be 32 degrees. There was going to be lightning, but I think it's gone now. This is Hard Rock on Wednesday, so there's no more lightning predicted there, but it still could be. There was before. But that's Scotland, Brazil, 32 degrees. That's going to favour Brazil. That's going to be really hard for the Scottish. So that could be good, but then the Scottish are going to be they're tough fellows, aren't they? And they really need to keep the score line down. If they're going to lose, they need to lose by as fewer goals as possible. If they want to finish as a third place qualifier. So I still feel like that could be tough for Brazil. Don't know. Pick your narrative. So there's that one. Germany are playing Ecuador. I don't know. I'm not going near them, but that's a hot one. So it might favour Ecuador. Germany are probably going to rotate. Ecuador need a win. That might be a game that Ecuador actually win. It wouldn't surprise me if Germany just fully rotate that one and lose it. I think they've won, haven't they? Germany top the group automatically. Yeah, so they've already won. Netherlands, I've actually got that's a hot one. That's a storm as well there. That is predicted storms. That's at Kansas. Kansas on the Thursday, they've got storms there, lightning. So one to watch. This is another reason to not pick anybody from Group D, because they're the ones that play straight afterwards. So you could kind of avoid that. And then the next group is the next day. So like the Senegal game is that's a whole day afterwards. So that won't bother me too much, the storms there. If the game gets delayed, as long as it's played before that, as long as it doesn't get cancelled entirely, because it's 6 p.m. local time in Kansas that'll be played. So as long as it's finished, I mean the France game yesterday got cancelled for a bit, but they start the second half again at 9 p.m. or something. I don't know, but it's quite late. So I think should be okay. But it's the heat is 26 is not super hot, but it's quite hot. I think Netherlands that'll favour Tunisia. But Netherlands need to win, don't they? I think Netherlands. Yeah, there is a risk. They can't be fourth, and they've certainly qualified. They'll be in the top three, but they really don't want to finish third because they'll play the group of death. Probably play France or Norway. Probably France. So they want to top that group if they can. Yeah, I'll talk about the bracket and stuff in a minute. Yeah, so I think Netherlands will be up for that, but it will be a hot one. Yeah, they need to win. Then another one I've got. Well, let's have a look at the heat. Possibly England, Croatia. It's fairly hot games here. This is in New York. 24s, 26. It's not super hot, but it would probably favour Panama and Ghana rather than England and Croatia. Those two. But I think England will be fine, not too bad. And then Austria versus Algeria, very hot one, could be storms. I'm just avoiding that game anyway, but could be storms and lightning for that one. It's the last game anyway, so it won't really matter that much. By the way, I think the next deadline, match day, so match day 4, the round of 32 actually starts here, 8 p.m. on the 29th. So I think I'm literally going to start 29th. That's not that far away, is it? 24, 25, 6, 7, 8, 5 days away, which is next Monday. So there's a little bit of time. But I'm going to start building that. We're going to have to start thinking about the unlimited that wildcard straight away for round of 32. Anyway, yeah, so a few storms in this Uruguay-Spain game potentially, but I'm not sure anyone's going for them. Well, no, I am. I've got Lamar, haven't I? That is in Guadalajara, and it's there. And then you got Belgium, and then the Egypt game comes afterwards, 3 hours afterwards. So I've got to have somebody from Belgium or Egypt, I think. Yeah, one to watch then. One to watch. Storms. That is Guadalajara on the 26th, which is the Friday. Yeah, Storms. I got Storms due. So yeah, I don't know what to do about that one. I feel like I have to go for Lamal or Yazbal. It's surely going to happen. I don't want to swerve them just because of a possible storm. I think I'll just hope to get lucky. Yeah, we'll see when I think I'll chance that one and hope that I get lucky. A couple of other things I'll just want to talk about then. So the bracket and travel. This is something I was looking into. Probably ended up being a bit of a wasted effort. This is just me being a geek. I was just curious of I was curious of the travel, and so this isn't of the all these little boxes here. This is the longitude and latitudes of all the teams' training camps, and then you got the stadiums here in the little coloured ones, the stadiums. I don't know if you can see that. Actually, my face is probably in the way. So this is like the exact latitude and longitude. Now the picture behind it is just rough. That's not exact. That's just me doing a rough idea just to get a sense. But so what was interesting is that, well, what do I want to say about this? I think the one thing I've noticed with the travel is I don't think it's that big a deal. Because I was thinking maybe there are some teams that have to travel loads and it could be a big disadvantage, and maybe I could look into that. I don't think it's a massive disadvantage. Most teams, like, I don't know, like Group D, this is Group D here. These are all West Coast games. And if you see these little Ds here, all the teams are camped around the West Coast, funnily enough, because obviously all their games are over there. And there are other teams like Group of Death is all over here on the East Coast, and that's where they're all camped. All over here. So most teams are just camped near where most of their games are, which you would expect. The biggest amount of travel that occurred was Canada, but it didn't even. So that was like Canada's first game was like they're camped over here, Canada. Let me put it back over to that one. Canada are camped right up here, but they had a game over here, and that's like a massive distance. But apparently, that was their first game, and they were actually having some friendlies over here. So they had already acclimatized to this, because this is 4 hours, 4 different time zones here. And for every time zone you cross, you're supposed to take a day to acclimatize. So you have to travel 4 days in advance to acclimatize your body. But they had already traveled and played some friendlies, so they were fit for that. And then they moved back over here to train for these ones. So that wasn't that big of a deal. And also, when it comes to the knockouts, after the group stage, teams can change their training camp. So Belgium, for instance, are camped over here, but there's some routes where they may have to play kind of more in this vicinity. And if they don't top the group, they could just move their training camp over here. So I don't think it'll be that big of a deal. There's also Austria versus Algeria. I was noting Algeria, they're playing in Kansas there, which is quite a big distance for Austria. But Austria have just played Argentina there in the AT&T, and I believe they're probably just going to stay there because that's 5 days later. So I think they'll probably get a training ground here and just stay there. I couldn't confirm that, but that's probably the kind of thing they'll do. So I feel like all the training, all the travel has probably been thought out, and it's not as big of a deal as you might think. And one thing, because like Iran as well, like that, the idea of Iran being in Mexico and having to travel all the way to America, they're just there. They're literally, so I'd imagine they've literally just nipped the other side of the Mexican border. All these other teams are already, because this is pretty close to, I've rounded some of these numbers, but I think they're just literally the other side of the Mexican border, so it's probably not that big of a deal. And one thing I have just noticed about this whole, looking into like all of the logistics of the World Cup, I know we all like to moan about it and stuff, but I've been like amazed at the attention to detail There's real kind of like with the schedule, you might have noticed that a lot of the European games are actually played at like reasonable hours in Europe, and a lot of like the Australia games, New Zealand games, they're played at reasonable hours in New Zealand. I think they've done that like deliberately. As I was going through, like there's not many games of teams. Sometimes it happens, not all the times, but most of the games with the European teams are played in like on evenings. They're not in the middle of the night. The middle of the night games are like Ecuador versus Ivory Coast and stuff. And I mean, Sweden, Tunisia is there, but most of the time that they've scheduled it quite well. So yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to say that. I think I've been quite impressed with all the way they've scheduled it all. It's quite a kind of logistical, complicated thing to do. What do I want to say about that? So yeah, with the bracket, thinking about motivations, I don't think there's much to say. Do I want to talk? I'm going to keep waffling. You can just stop. You can skip if you're bored. But again, I was looking into some of these motivations. So what do I want to say about this? I don't know, because like America have qualified, so they've already qualified, and they're going to be in this little group here. So this is all West Coast, Lumen Field, that's Seattle. So they're all still in the same place. Is there anything interesting here though? Let's have a look at like motivations of who might want to top the group and all this kind of business. I don't think it matters. I think Belgium was one that I was looking at, but I don't think it matters because they'll just move their training camps and they'll just adapt. I think what a BC place is one. So anybody that finishes here, so this is Group K. Anybody who finishes top of Group K or third in Group L, they might have a bit of a swing here because BC place is this one right up in this top left in Vancouver, Canada, whereas the GH is that's the Kansas one. So it's quite a big time zone jump there you'd have to do, so that's not ideal there. This pink one as well is who is the pink? Oh, it's over here, Group B. So whoever tops Group B, probably Canada. Canada's not too bad because they'll play their first two games in BC place and then they could probably move after that. That's probably what they'll do, so it's not too bad that way. But yeah, whoever tops Group K, sorry, might be incentive to not top it. You're going to play top plays L3, probably second plays second in L2. Might be better to be second in that group, possibly. Where are we going? Second in that group. Yellow is over here. BMO, so that's more East Coast. AT&T's middle. I don't know. I don't think there's much to say. Yeah, I don't think there's much to say. So, is that all I wanted to say? I think I had a couple of other things. So one other thing. There's 2.5 hours. There's 2.5 hours between these last few group games. So that is England's Group L, I think it is, Group K and Group J. 2.5 hours between those games. So it's 10 until 12:30. This is English time, and then until 3. So if you are changing captains between these games, that is something to watch out for. Now that's again another reason to maybe not go for anybody from Group K. Group D and Group K, I think I'm going to avoid. D because of the storm, and K because then I can captain somebody from this group, and then there's plenty of time just in case the game bodges up and doesn't open in time for me to change my captain, or if anything happens. So yeah, that's something to think about. What else was I going to say? Oh, make sure your goalkeepers are from different groups, because you can get them from different teams in different games, but they've got to be from entirely different groups as well. So I've got mine from Korea and Bosnia at the moment, so that should be okay. Yeah, travel. I think that's it. So I haven't really finished, haven't really figured out exactly what I want to do. But that's kind of it. Yeah, I think I'll stop talking. I think I need to figure out my last few thoughts. So yeah, okay, I'll leave it there. Thanks for listening. See you later. Bye bye.